Yo, I want to get into the timeline of the Quad Studio shooting. Now, as we are all watching The Reckoning, the documentary put out by Netflix about Puffy, I've been doing a lot of research into like the different aspects. The documentary is packed with so much. It's like 50 had to get everything into like 2 hours or however many hours it is, but it's so much in there. So today I want to talk about the breakdown of the actual shooting, because it's a lot that happened before and a lot that happened after. So all right, cool. We're gonna take it back to October 1993. So we know at this point in time, Tupac is shooting above the rim, right? And it's been documented that he was hanging out with Haitian Jack, who everybody knows is a well-known hustler, in New York. And Haitian Jack is like really looking out for Pac at this particular time because Pac didn't really have a lot of money. And he was famous, right? But he was struggling financially. And he has talked about this in a lot of different interviews. So he is kind of getting like not courted for lack of better words, but like Haitian Jack is investing right in Pac because I think that Haitian Jack eventually wanted to manage Pac. So he's pretty much like helping Pac financially. He's taking him shopping, he's buying him Rolexes, he's buying him diamonds, like he's buying him a whole bunch of stuff, right? And not only is he supporting him like to survive financially, but he's putting him on like a whole nother level. And Pac talks about this in his interview when he was in jail. He was like, yeah, Haitian Jack like really introduced me to a whole nother life. Like I was wearing baggy jeans and I was, just wearing like different types of clothes, but he at that level of like gangster, like that wealth, like drug dealer money. You know what I mean? Like when you really showing up and you dress down. He wasn't doing that until he got with Haitian Jack. And I think Haitian Jack also really influenced his character Birdie and Above the Rim. Right? He's really in this like, drug life culture, hanging out with people like Haitian Jack from New York. So he is friends with Biggie at the time. Biggie tells him about Haitian Jack, and he's like, hey, you really shouldn't hang out with him. Like, that's a real gangster. So he was well aware of who he was hanging out with. Also, Haitian Jack introduced him to Madonna. So we're talking about like a real street, you know, player in the game, okay, who is influential in the street life, and he's also very influential in the music industry. He introduced him to Madonna. Like, okay, that's the context that we're in. Okay, so anyway, in November of 1993, they were both accused of raping Ayanna Jackson, who the story is like so convoluted with this because it appears that Ayanna Jackson gave Tupac some head at the club, but it also appears that Haitian Jack was messing with her, like, and had some sort of relationship that was a little bit more than sexual, and then Tupac ended up messing with her. So yeah, it seems like there was something brewing because of that between them two. So anyway, he messes with Ayanna Jackson, and then Ayanna Jackson comes back to the hotel. She gets raped by individuals outside of the room that Tupac was sleeping in. He wasn't in the room where she was being raped, but she claims that he basically orchestrated it and says that she was being given to his friends as like a reward, something of that nature. So when they have the trial, Haitian Jack and Tupac are both being charged, but instead of having the trial together, they have them separately. And anybody knows if you are charged with someone for the exact same crimes and you have the trial separately, 9 times out of 10, you guys are going to be pitted against one another. And that's exactly what happened. The lawyers pitted Tupac against Haitian Jack. So now we don't fuck with each other. Now we're not friends no more. Okay, because now you telling them my business, I'm telling them your business, and now we not rocking. So all that money that Haitian Jack spent on Tupac, thinking that he was going to be able to recoup it as a manager is now gone. All the Rolexes and all the diamonds, all the clothes, all the everything that he spent is now is is finished. You're never gonna get that back. So Haitian Jack reaches out to Jimmy Henchman in an attempt to get his money back or to recoup some of the jewelry, the Rolexes and the diamonds. Tupac refuses and they get to arguing. This has been documented by Un Rivera and this happened on November 30th, right? 1994. So it's a whole year later. In November 1993, they were accused. So the trial, I don't believe, let me see, it must have started because December 1st, he was convicted, right? And we remember that because we saw him being wheeled into the courthouse when he was convicted, right? Because he had already gotten shot on November 30th, 1994. Okay. So December 1st, he was being wheeled into the courthouse. So that was like a couple days later, right? And remember, he opted out of the care at the hospital. They told him that he had, like, his health wasn't satisfactory. He decided he wanted to leave, right? With the all in bandages around his head. Okay. So anyway, getting back to November 30th, 1994, right before he gets shot, a couple days. But the day he got shot, a couple days before he got convicted of first degree sexual assault. So he is at Ron G's studio, right? The DJ, Ron G, and he's with Biggie and Un Rivera at the studio. They're together. Ron G has said this many, many times. Jimmy Henchman is paging him over and over and over and over, asking him to come to the studio, Quad Studio, and do a song with Little Sean so that he can pay down his debt to Haitian Jack. Pac says, I'm not paying nothing back to Haitian Jack. And I want 7,000 to do the song. Mind you, he's pressed for money. And, Pac got a little bravado, like, hey, look, that nigga, he was helping me. And now it didn't go how he wanted. Now he want his money back. Like, no, I'm not doing that. That's the vibe. So he agrees to come to the studio after Haitian Jack. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They're in the studio with Ron G. And Un Rivera talks about how Pac was like, they was like, who you on the phone with? And Pac was like, man, some man named, Jimmy Henchman or whatever. And so they like, what? Jimmy Henchman, like, he's going to kill you. Like, you can't be going back and forth with somebody like that. Like, do we need to get guns? They recognize the situation for what it was. But Pac is like, nah, like, whatever. Like, he's kind of like brushing it off, right? So later on, him and Biggie split ways from Ron G's studio. Pac says that he goes to get some weed. Biggie goes to Quad Studio, right? Now we have to remember this is a big complex. It's a large building. They have many different floors and studios on many different floors. So Biggie is having a secret session with Junior Mafia. This is their first studio session. And Little C's, he attests to that. He said it was their first studio session because what Biggie was trying to do was be able to profit off of the music of his group, Junior Mafia, including Little Kim, right? And not have to pay Puffy the publishing rights because he was in an unfair publishing deal with Puffy, where Puffy basically was getting all the profit for his songs, right? For his publishing. So if he could basically disguise who was writing the songs for Little Kim and for Junior Mafia, then Puffy would not get the profit for that. So what he was doing was holding a private studio session at Quad Studio when Puffy didn't know about it, right? So he's holding this studio session after he leaves Pac. He goes to the studio with Junior Mafia. Well, Jimmy Henchman must have been aware that Biggie was downstairs and Junior Mafia was downstairs, right? We're all in the same building, but we're on different floors. So Jimmy Henchman probably reached out to Puff or to Von Zip. Von Zip was his best friend. And as in the documentary, we see that Puffy called Von Zip his uncle, right? So they have a close relationship. Henchman either reached out to Von Zip, who reached out to Puff, or he reached out to Puff directly and let him know, hey, Biggie's in the studio. I didn't know y'all was gonna be in the studio today. He probably said, I'm not supposed to be in the studio today. So here we go. This is how Puffy gets to the studio. Okay. Now, I think that Puffy was going to utilize Jimmy Henchman so that he could come and really just show up to Biggie's studio session unannounced and kind of bust it down and be like, what's going on? What's happening? 9 times out of 10, Puffy was paying for that studio session, right? But he wasn't going to recoup anything because he wasn't getting the publishing for that studio session and for Junior Mafia. So Puffy was spying on Biggie and spying on him writing for these artists on Junior Mafia, but he knew he wasn't going to recoup the benefit. So he's mad. He's greedy anyway, so he's probably pissed, right? Like what is going on here? I gotta figure it out. So he's on one floor spying on Biggie, and Biggie and Junior Mafia are on another floor. Whole time, Henchman is setting up a play with Pac. So Pac has agreed that he's going to come to the studio because he wants that 7,000, and he's going to do a song with Little Sean. So when he gets to the studio, he gets to the elevator. The rest is history, right? We understand that he has been robbed and he has been shot. Okay, cool. When he goes up in the elevator, he sees Henchman and he sees Puffy. That brings him to the conclusion that Puffy has set him up. And that's where this whole thing comes from, right? Where it started that whole East Coast, West Coast beef. But what I really think is that Puffy was there spying on Biggie because he knew he was being robbed essentially from Biggie. And he was trying to get Jimmy Henchman to probably go rough up whoever was in Biggie's camp. And he couldn't do it by himself. He wanted to confront Biggie, but he couldn't do it alone. Rivera was there, and he's going to have his guns and his men. So he couldn't do it by himself. So he was going to utilize Jimmy Henchman. But before they could do that, Pac came, and Jimmy Henchman, on behalf of Haitian Jack, was trying to rob him. But when Pac was going to go get robbed, I think he pulled out his gun, they said, and so it took a whole different turn. But that's just my takeaway. Y'all let me know in the comments, what you think actually happened. Because I don't necessarily think that Puffy set him up. I think he was aware. He had to have known because he was upstairs with Jimmy Henchman. So he had to have known it was going to occur. I don't think he was a part of it. I think he was doing something completely different. He was there, but he was on another mission. And his mission was to spy on Biggie because he was getting cheated out of his publishing rights with the unfair publishing deal that he had with Biggie set up. Biggie was tired of it. So that's why he was there. But I do think that he was aware that Pac was about to get robbed. And Pac was about to get robbed because of Haitian Jack. Because of all that money that Haitian Jack spent. And he wanted to recoup on his investment. And Pac was like, nah, I'm not paying you back. I'm already strapped for money. I don't have it. I'm not paying you back. And you want me to do a song for you? Oh, yeah, I'm going to tax you. I need 7,000 for that. So